Energy demand, enhancing energy security.
OPEC wants countries to work together in its one-size-fits-all prescription to overcome climate and energy challenges. And 65th National Council on Health ends in Maiduguri as stakeholders advance realization of 2030 universal health coverage. Let's begin in Rio de Janeiro, where President Bola Tinubu is assuring that Nigeria will derive a successful economy out of the current situation by adopting a civilized approach towards solving the farmer-herders clashes in the country. The president said this in Brazil as the government takes a step further in the development of the livestock sector in Nigeria. State House correspondent Musbah Damwahab reports.
The Nigerian delegation on tour to learn the Brazilian experience in livestock production are back on the table with their findings.
Okay, please.
President Bola Tinubu certainly wants a sound footing for the takeoff of a newly established Ministry of Livestock Development. So, learning from the right hand is the watchword as the delegation visited 3 conglomerates here, including JBS, a Brazilian multinational company, largest meat processing enterprise in the world.
Your Excellency, we are convinced that the life sector reform being implemented today has a lot to learn from the Brazilian experience, and the private sector here represented have shown strong commitment to partner along and replicate the successes in Nigeria.
I think we've come to the right place, we've got the right partners. The issue now is how to proceed step by step.
And we'll do our very best to ensure that what has been done in Brazil is replicated in Nigeria.
And to support whatever venture you are driving. But as a state, United States, we are providing ourselves as a pilot state. Already we have identified about 1.2 million hectares ready for this production.
What we are trying to do.
The man who sees opportunities in the current challenge in Nigeria's livestock sector obviously has the plans thought out already.
We are solving a problem that afflicted humanity in that part of Africa. Clash between farmers and migrating cow, soldiers and all of that has caused some life and bloodshed. So when there is a modern civilized way to solve those problems and even bring a successful economy out of it.
President Tinubu believes that in only a matter of time, the solution to the sector would also solve another challenge of food security.
Food security is extremely important. As we talk right now, there is hunger. However, there is huge hope, and you are one of those hopes that we're looking at.
Both parties have now agreed to collaborate as expressed in the letter of intent and set to proceed to the first phase of a cooperation to maximize the entire value chain of the sector.
Brazilian captains of industry here who have been part of this engagement today are going to visit Nigeria for exploratory tour to see what's going to happen, select suitable sites where we're going to have suitability of land, fertility of land, availability of bodies of water for irrigation, as well as possible for hydro, as well as growing of corn, sorghum, sweet corn, soybean, as well as ease of transportation to manage the logistics and then availability of markets.
The key aspect will be that for you to have a successful livestock industry like he has described, they also need feed. And that feed has to be produced, and that is where the Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Food Security will come in.
The foreign partners are expected to visit Nigeria soon for the immediate study tour. From Rio de Janeiro, Musbal, then Wahab, Nta News.
And staying in Rio de Janeiro, Niger State has signed a $5 billion ethanol offtake agreement with a Brazilian company to develop sugarcane production potential of the state. The agreement is to set up plants in the state for the production of sugar and its byproducts. The state's delegation, led by Governor Mohamed Umar Bago, leveraged Nigeria's participation at the just concluded G20 Leaders Summit in Rio de Janeiro to conclude on the partnership. Learning from the first two leading producers of sugar in the world, Brazil and India, the governor says his state, with the largest land mass in Nigeria, is hoping to maintain a leading position in sugar production while also becoming a hub for agriculture generally. He believes that apart from the imminent huge job opportunities, the investments will have a multiplier effect on the national economy. Let's now get some details on the takeaways from the OPEC Secretary General's speech at COP29, that countries must work together as there is no one-size-fits-all prescription to overcoming climate and energy challenges. Lydia Sampson reports.
Almost 180 years on from the birth of petroleum in the world, petroleum and petroleum-derived products continue to shape how people heat and cool their homes, construct buildings, and transport ourselves from one point to another, as oil and gas remains vital to producers and consumers around the world. OPEC Secretary General Haitham Al-Hayes reiterates inclusive dialogue and international cooperation be adopted going forward as the world works towards building a sustainable future for all.
There remain around 685 million people around the world without access to electricity, and 2.1 billion who continue to rely on unsafe and inefficient cooking fuels. The great challenge at hand is ensuring energy accessibility, meeting rising energy demand, enhancing energy security while maintaining energy affordability, and of course, reducing emissions.
He said OPEC has consistently advocated a balanced approach where nothing and no one should be dismissed, stressing the need to embrace all energies, leverage all the available technologies, and ensure that the needs of all people around the world are taken into account. This means recognizing that the focus of the Paris Agreement is reducing emissions, not choosing energy sources. And as Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries, each party has the right to chart its own pathway to a sustainable future. Lydia Sampson, NTA News.
The federal government has restated commitments to improving healthcare delivery in Nigeria, especially in the rural areas. State House correspondent Abdulrahman Jibrila reports that Vice President Kashim Shettima gave the assurance when a delegation from the West African College of Physicians paid him a courtesy visit. He highlighted the appointments of Professor Mohamed Ali Pate as the Coordinating Minister of Health and Social Welfare, noting the minister's deep understanding of the health sector, assuring members of the professional body of government's willingness to work with them. Recalling his efforts to support healthcare education in Borno State, the Vice President said in 2014 sponsored female citizens of the state to study medicine and surgery abroad. A leader of the delegation, Dr. Jeremiah Abwa Madaki, commended the Vice President for his support for the 48th Annual General and Scientific Conference of the West African College of Physicians. Madaki expressed optimism about the government's commitment to improving healthcare systems, even as he shared the communique of the conference with the Vice President. As the week-long activities for the 65th National Council on Health aimed at advancing the successful realization of the 2030 universal health coverage comes to a close, Minister of Health Professor Mohamed Ali Pate has called for swift implementation of deliberations made during the meeting to ensure overall transformation of Nigeria's healthcare system. Tina Toro reports.
At the closing session, the National Council on Health focused on key areas, including the establishment of the Family Health Department and strategies for improving maternal, newborn, child, adolescent, as well as elderly healthcare services. Several policy documents were officially launched as part of determination to ensure a robust outcome. Minister of Health and Social Welfare, Professor Muhammad Ali Pate, who launched the documents, emphasized their significance in improving the Nigerian healthcare system, noting that the documents were designed to enhance the well-being of healthcare workers and provide a comprehensive framework to guide the planning, training, and deployment of human resources within the sector.
I would like to urge all stakeholders to implement these policies effectively and ensuring no one is left behind. Employ every state to adopt these guidelines wholeheartedly.
We have about 171 institutions or local government areas in Nigeria where the maternal mortality is very high. So this will be the target age where, we'll make sure that, at least the curve going up is bent so that you can have results as soon as possible.
Policy documents launched at the meeting include the National Policy on Health Workers Workforce Migration, the Nigerian Health Workforce Profile 2022, and the National Social and Behavior Change Strategy for Nutrition across the life cycle in Nigeria. The minister was emphatic that the documents would serve as key reference points for policymakers, health professionals, and stakeholders as they work to strengthen the nation's health system and ensure sustainable development in healthcare. A communique outlining the key resolutions was presented by the Permanent Secretary of the Federal Ministry of Health, Dr. Daju Kacholo. In Maiduguri, Tina Toro, NTA News.
For efficient Hajj operations, the Senate is emphasizing the interests of pilgrims must supersede any other concern. This was during a public hearing on a bill for an act to amend the act establishing the National Hajj Commission of Nigeria, convened by the Senate Committee on Foreign Affairs. National Assembly correspondent Joshua Ugunjide reports.
The National Hajj Commission of Nigeria is saddled with the responsibility of regulating state pilgrim boards and tour operators. The bilateral air service agreement between Nigeria and the Saudi Arabia authorities of 2015 resulted in a 50-50 quota on air flight.
The process will be pre-qualified in conjunction with the expert from the Ministry of Aviation, the Hajj Commission, which is coordinating, and then the states.
These states of federation, including the FCT, find the message while advising that the NACON Act 2006 be revisited.
Why we went on the 50-50 agreement is simply because we didn't want to pay $100 to the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia royalty. That is the only reason.
There are terminologies that were used in the proposed bill, airline agencies. We needed to be guided properly.
So you are making Nigerian pilgrims to pay twice. They pay for 35 days, and not all pilgrims will stay in Saudi Arabia until 35 days, and they pay for another 5 days of the contract in Mashair.
Both the regulator and the operator are supposed to be complementary. They are not in a competition.
If we decentralize NCAA and other agencies in aviation, we'll have that problem of dealing with 37 or 36 states.
Wallah, no matter the amount of money we make, one day we'll stand before Allah. Our chairman is a new man.
Well, I think the states are asking to be allowed to choose among the ones approved by NACON. What the states don't want is for NACON to say you must use this carrier.
From the National Assembly, Joshua Ogochide, NTA News.
This is the news at 10 on NTA News 24. We'll take a short break. More reports in a moment.
Better food, not correct ingredients.
You're welcome back. The Supreme Court has nullified the National Lottery Act 2005 enacted by the National Assembly. The judgments followed the suits filed in 2008 by Lagos and some other states. Ruling on the matter, the Apex Court, in a unanimous judgment consisting of 7 members, held that the National Assembly lacked the powers to legislate on issues relating to lottery and games. In a unanimous judgment, the 7-member panel of the Apex Court held that such powers only reside with the state houses of assembly, which possess exclusive jurisdiction over lottery and related issues. In the lead judgment by Justice Mohammed Idris, the Supreme Court resolved the 2 issues identified for determination against the Attorney General of the Federation and 1 other listed as defendants. He granted all the reliefs sought by the plaintiffs. He declared that lottery or games of chance are not items on the exclusive legislative list contained in the Constitution, in respect of which the National Assembly has the powers to make laws for the whole of the country, and proceeded to issue an order nullifying the entirety of the National Lottery Act. Justice Idris also issued an order of perpetual injunction restraining the first defendant, the AGF, either by himself or his agents or any other agency of the federal government, from implementing the provisions of the National Lottery Act within the territories of the plaintiff's states. Experts in information and communications technology are advocating robust data cybersecurity measures in the country to safeguard sensitive information which are often breached through unauthorized access. This was a unanimous recommendation at the 12th edition of the Nigeria ICT Impact Forum, where federal government agencies, including the Nigerian Communications Commission, the Nigeria Data Protection Commission, Digital Reality and strategic partners in the digital economic space, expressed concerns on rising cases of cyber attacks and consequences for individuals and organizations. They made a case for a government-led approach to build frameworks that encourage professionals to strengthen data protection, cloud infrastructure, and cybersecurity at this time of increasing reliance on the internet and digital services. This, they believe, will safeguard individual privacy and enforce standards, noting the importance of securing cloud infrastructure through partnerships with reputable cloud service providers.
Activity, to the extent that they are likely, the connectivity is being likened to the physical highway structure. So that is a good focus.
There are government agencies that are around everywhere, that all they need to do is to just tell them to support this kind of an initiative. Because if people talk about this thing more, then the government itself, they will look. You know, for instance, the event, we're doing it in collaboration with NCC.
Pretty much talks about strengthening the industry, strengthening the gains of the industry, strengthening the industry from both infrastructure side, cyber security, and then ensuring that whatever has been achieved is not lost, right? It's one thing to build the industry, it's another thing to strengthen it and make it continue to grow.
The theme for the 12th edition of the forum is strengthening data protection, cloud infrastructure, and cyber security. The National Biosafety Management Agency has reassured of unwavering commitment towards health and safety of Nigerians, hence the rigorous scientific process undertaken before appending its credibility seal on products for public consumption. Director General of the agency, Dr. Agnes Yemisi, reaffirmed the agency's stance during a press briefing in Abuja, where she canvassed for public trust towards navigating the complexities of providing scientific breakthroughs, especially genetically modified organisms.
Every genetically modified organism approved by NBME undergoes rigorous scientific scrutiny and strict regulatory procedures to ensure it meets the highest safety standards.
The acting director, Planning, Research and Statistics, Scholastica Bello, solicited the cooperation of Nigerians in backing the agency in its bid to ascertain the efficacy of consumables and ensure food security and sustainability.
Whatever MBA may say is, it's safe. It's safe. Because our concerns are 3, and these concerns are put into cognizance in all our processes, starting from identification of doubts that you want till it gets to the farm. And even after the farm, regulation, monitoring, assessment.
The National Biosafety Management Agency, through the Act establishing it, is saddled with the responsibility of ensuring the safety of products, which they do through rigorous scientific procedures, tests and analysis in conjunction with other sister agencies. You're watching the news at 10 on Nta News24. Here's a look at our major stories.
We are solving a problem that afflicted humanity.
President Tinubu assures of civilized approach to solving Nigeria's farmer herders clashes.
Is ensuring energy accessibility, meeting rising energy demand, enhancing energy security.
OPEC wants countries to work together in its one-size-fits-all prescription to overcome climate and energy challenges. And 65th National Council on Health has ended in Maiduguri as stakeholders advance realization of 2030 universal health coverage. The new National Star newspaper has honored outstanding contributors to journalism with awards to celebrate excellence in the media industry. Among awardees was the Director General of the Nigerian Television Authority, Salihu Abdulhamid Dembos, who received a prestigious award for his remarkable leadership. Patricia Esamiluba has details.
The event brought together some of Nigeria's brightest minds in the media and beyond, who were awarded with 2 different categories of award totaling 35. Marking 5 years of impactful journalism, the Managing Director Obinna Nwachukwu highlighted the significance of this milestone and the influential personalities shaping the future of media in Nigeria.
We have seen cases where 20 to 30 million voters are registered and less than 10% of that number are recorded during elections.
The keynote address centered on strengthening democratic institutions and electoral systems in Nigeria, as the theme specifies.
Through the entire spectrum of our history, the mass media, the journalism profession, and those of you who are practitioners have been the main vehicles of bringing this country thus far.
It was a thought-provoking discourse that underscored the vital role of an independent media in safeguarding democracy and promoting transparency in governance, while the lecture emphasized on a well-informed electorate backed by robust institutions, which the speaker said is key to sustaining democratic process. As such, the evening honored exceptional individuals who have made significant contributions to the media industry, and among them is the Director General of the Nigerian Television Authority, Salihu Abdulhamid, presented by the General Manager International, Oganya Simon, reaffirming NTA's commitment to driving excellence in media practice.
Our DG, Comrade Salihu Abdulhamid has done a lot in the last few years. If you watch NTA, you know that we've been evolving. He's a game changer. Things are getting better every day, and we promise Nigerians that we'll continue to get better and we'll deliver the best service.
Other award recipients echoed similar sentiments, applauding the organizers for creating a platform to celebrate achievements while challenging practitioners to uphold the highest standards of professionalism. Highlights and heartfelt moments of the dinner and award night also showcased Ambassador Phil Roberts and a national dance group to the thrill of the guests. Patricia Esemilova, NTA News.
And that concludes the news at 10 on NTA News 24. Thanks for watching. I am Dennis Adigunloye.